guys, GeoGaming here, and welcome back to another video. So today, welcome to r/stories about Kevin. So what this subreddit is about, it's about people being stupid, pretty much. Either people named males are called Kevins, females are called Kevinas. I'm pretty sure you guys know what this subreddit is about. So the first story I have here is Kevin tries to cheat on a test in front of a teacher. So Kevin is the most stupidest person I've ever met. He is 18 at the time this happened. He thought that all animals, including lions, zebras, insects, etc., were the same type of animal, but just are different sizes and are just wearing very fancy clothes. He is a flat earther and thinks the earth flies through the universe like a frisbee, and all the planets, stars, moons, etc. in our universe orbit the earth. One time our country's presidential election happened, not the 2020 election, he would sing and chant "Vote for President now" to random people he'll meet. When I told him how disrespectful it was, he said, "But everyone in our country voted for him, so why is it disrespectful?" I just told him that people had different opinions and that I may not vote for him. He said that I was a liar and continued doing that. Now here's a story. It was a very important assessment. It determines if we will graduate or not. During the exam, all books should be placed outside of the classroom, and two teachers would be invigilating the classes. What the teachers didn't know was that Kevin had a textbook inside the table despite being focused on the exam. I was watching Kevin doing the exam. He just stared at the ceiling, playing with his stationery or wiggle his fingers for 30 minutes straight without writing anything on the assessment paper. He didn't even touch it for 30 minutes and the time was 1 hour. He only had half an hour to complete it. One of the invigilators got up to check up on him, and he said he'll do it later. Finally, he wrote his name and took out his textbook to copy the answers. The invigilator saw this and got up to take his textbook. He refused and said he apparently had the right to copy the answers? Oh gosh, I did. Wow. The teacher simply took the textbook and Kevin just sat there, defeated, and continued to do that until time was up. He only did 1 or 2 questions out of the 82. After the exam, my friends talked about how hard it was and gossiped that Kevin's fantastic amount of effort before. I don't know what happened next, but Kevin didn't graduate. God dang. That was crazy. Oh wait, let's go to the next story. By the user RV Fulltime. Kevina, who can't or won't comprehend with the concept of subtraction. I'm a grocery cashier in a big box store. Drama all day, every day. For the record, I observed the particular Kevina customer speaking English to a reasonable degree, so it wasn't simply a matter of a language barrier. In any event, a simple arithmetic is the same all around the world. I think I had a stroke while I read that. No one has to be fluent in any particular language to be able to add and subtract, or to know what addition and subtraction are. Kevina had an order that included some groceries, along with 2 shirts. Both shirts had the same price and the product description, but shirt A had a different UPC number from shirt B because the patterns were different. I scanned the shirt A correctly, but I accidentally scanned shirt B twice. I immediately voided out the second scan of shirt B. Stuff happens. Yeah, true. As most retail customers understand, voiding a bad scan doesn't make the bad scan disappear from the receipt. Instead, the void counterbalances the bad scan with a negative entry, so that the void prints on the receipt with a minus sign. Long story short, every action is logged in as an audit trail, and the total reflects on the amount due. Kevina paid for her stuff, but then she came back and insisted that I had rung up her shirts 3 times. Besides the fact that she confused shirt A with shirt B, despite there having 2 different UPCs, she also insisted that I had rung up shirt B 3 times. Nothing that I could say to her about the void transaction. Having a minus sign meant anything to her. Eventually, a manager came out to see what was wrong. She had to return everything and ring up the entire order to reassure the customer that the total was correct. Whew. Man, these Kevins are stupid, you guys. But it makes for a good story. Alright. This is a short one. That's what she said. Soccer fan has no idea where Brazil is located. Oof. In soccer, one of the best teams are located in Brazil. When I told the former co-worker Kevin that my parents were from a neighboring country, he said, "Of course they're from Africa." When explaining that I was referring to Latin America, he said that it was not possible as all people were from Africa. All black people were from Africa. What? Oh, whatever. I know that there are lots of blacks in Brazil, so it must be an African country. Kevin is so stupid. Kevin also thought that all black people were born in an innate ability to understand any African language, when no white person could ever learn. He means Swahili. I regret reading that story. Oh, this is a bit of a longer one. Holy crap, this is a long one. I'm just shooting through these stories like there's no other. Dr. Kevin, the dyspraxic blood sobic surgeon. Once I shared a house with Dr. Kevin, who was an eye surgeon. Most notably, he was clumsy. He had no problem holding something in his hands, and if he was standing still. I am going to be absolutely honest throughout, and I am not going to insult you or him by making the outlandish claim that he couldn't hold something while standing still. I'd even say he was good at it, but he couldn't coordinate with his hands and feet at the same time. If he had to walk across the room carrying something, there was a good chance he would drop it. To be fair to him, about a 40% chance. And every time he dropped something, he would do one or two things. He would usually trip over it, but on a good day, he would kick it really hard into the corner of the room. He fell down the stairs once a week. We'd hear. Sorry, I was just thinking of the Peter Griffin meme. I'll insert it here.
Making that up. Damn it!
Oh my God, Peter, are you okay?
No, I am not okay!
Oh my God, I was just thinking of that. I don't know why I did. We'd hear a series of thumps, and then we see him sitting at the bottom of the stairs with Sammy Withered's face every single time. I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose dyspraxia, but I did seem like it. I'm not mocking dyspraxia, it's the combining with the eye surgery that sits uneasily with me. In the house, we would ask each other, do they not test if a surgeon can carry things and walk downstairs? We decided he must be very good at small movements with his fingertips, but not large ones with his limbs. But when every day he shaved, he cut himself badly. I can only imagine he held the razor still and rubbed his face in it like a cat. He didn't like to use his own towels to mop out the blood, so my girlfriend's towels end up looking like Cruella de Vil's coat. Jesus. Which brings us onto the next item. He was squeamish at the sight of blood. We used to watch a lot of medical dramas, and he'd have to leave the room if there was visible blood. We'd ask each other, do they not test if a surgeon can handle the concept of people bleeding? So we decided there can't be much blood involved in eye surgery, but he also had a very interesting quirk, which was that if there was a binary operation, he would get it, and the wrong way wound. Okay. If he used anything electrical, he would start by turning it off and then ask why it wasn't working. If his pan was boiling over, he would turn the heat up. After seeing me many times going up and down the ladder to my loft, the one time he came up to look at something, he went down the near vertical ladder with his back to it, his face starting off smug as he thought he was showing me a better way of doing something. But turning to terror halfway down, he realized that he was going too fast, had nothing to hold on to, and just jumped the last few rungs. What a fur brain. He melted our steamer 3 times by using it without water, even though we explained how important water was to the function of a steamer. Then, because he picked up on my annoyance after I had run downstairs for the 3rd time to turn off the melting steamer, he decided to take the batteries out of the smoke alarm so that I wouldn't have to worry about it again. Maybe it's just me, but I didn't see that as the best solution. Let's just stop here a second. Next time you're bored, or if you're bored now, then as an exercise, I want to fully explain his smoke alarm battery decision as if you yourself were Dr. Kevin, and see if you can make it sound rational. Also, the sentence has to end with officer. Oh my god. Best of all, when he sent a parcel to the British Medical Association and it was returned to him unopened, he was angrily waving at me, demanding to know why they had done such a thing. I had to look at it and tell him, I see what's happened, mate. You put your own name and address on the back. He insisted this was standard procedure for official documents. I added, yes, but that's the side you also put the stamp on. You just posted it to yourself. Now, if I was making this story up, I would claim that he paid for extra for recorded delivery and had a sign for it at the door to prove he had received it from himself. I cannot be sure if he did that though. I am just sticking to the truth here because I like to be honest. And I feel Dr. Kevin would be insulted by any embellishment. He needs none. We'd ask each other in the house, surely they'd test if a surgeon in any circumstance does exactly the opposite of what he should do. I mentioned the cooking issues because he came from a strict patriarchal country. The kitchen had a steep learning curve from him, but he was up for it. Once he came into the kitchen where I was talking with my friend, proudly said, "I even do my own shopping." And took my friend's tea mug out of his hand and rinsed it out, and made himself a cup of tea whilst we watched, as if he was just showing us he could. When he left the kitchen, I turned to my friend and asked, "Have you finished your tea?" And I'll always remember the wistful, baffled look on his face as he quietly answered, "No." If you're a British person, I am deeply sorry for the abject pathos you must have felt for reading this distressing anecdote. I'm not British, but I understand where he's going with this. Like many vegetarians, I like to tell everyone that I'm a vegetarian, though Dr. Kevin did try to convince me not to be with his argument, "Rabbits are meant to be eaten." As a vegetarian, I don't get food poisoning, except on this one occasion, just as Dr. Kevin moved in. I knew that my girlfriend, now my wife, was a keeper because she was so very understanding when I unglamorously pooed on the bed in the middle of the night. I had food poisoning so bad that I had to stand in the cellar like Doctor Who regenerating with vomit and diarrhea. Why do I laugh at this? The nastiest shit. Literally. Oh my days. Oh, my sense of humor's gone downhill. Or uphill, I don't know. I held Bim back simultaneously at both ends to catch it. It's not a memory, and I have nostalgia for it. I didn't understand what had caused it until I saw Dr. Kevin washing up after eating his signature dish of burnt yet undercooked chicken. He only rinsed his plate with cold water and no washing up liquid, rubbing it with just his fingertips and put it straight in the cupboard without drying it. Oh. I think I got sick after reading that. We asked ourselves, surgeons, hygiene, combination, do they not? I mentioned the patriarchy. One of the women in the house told him it's spring forward, fall back, so he knew which way to change his clocks. But I factitiously, that's a new word for me, exclaimed that it was no good as a memory aid because you can't just easily spring back or fall forward. And because I had said that with a man's authority, he set his clock to the wrong and then blamed me for it when he missed an appointment. To be fair, I do always get confused by that myself. Well, with daylight savings time not existing in Arizona, I don't have to worry about that. He once came into the living room and sat down on the TV remote, changing the channel from the show my girlfriend and our other housemate are watching, and refused to turn it back because, as females, they didn't outrank his male arse. No, of course he didn't really say that. It's just my uncharitable interpretation of his actions. What he actually said was that the the nature show he'd put on was better. I just read ahead. Was better for them to watch than the celebrity show they had on. Celebrity shows are better than nature shows, personally. Is that better or worse than my male ass based justification? I do not ever have to ask myself which personality trait is the strongest. The feigned British politeness or feminist murderous rage. I have seen the answer to that question. After seeing my girlfriend leave the house for work every morning, but never asking what she did for a living, he saw a letter for her addressed to Dr. John Saru's girlfriend, and was suddenly interested. Unlike she said in her PhD was in 18th century history, like he never spoke to her again. Just as an aside, he made us call him Dr. Kevin at all times, which was very Mike Myers. I don't spend 6 years in Ewell Medical School to be called Mr. Thank you very much. He was furious to find out surgeons in Britain called as just called Mr. for historical reasons. If you were familiar with my own history, you'd remember that amongst all my faults is a slight sensitivity to noise at night. Dr. Kevin was a problem with his regard with doors. As a student of Kevinology, you already assumed that he slammed them loudly. I'll give you 1 point. Because he did slam them as loud as he could, like any master of a craft that had a thorough grasp of the basics. But that wasn't the issue. Excuse me. He used to open doors loudly. Open them. I've seen him do it in the daytime too. After a short run-up, he would throw his whole weight into the door, but not turn the handle until after he hit it. Don't try this to test it. I've tried it before, as it is a horrible noise and you might break your door. It's a metal grinding sound as loud as a balloon popping. I would often wake up sitting upright. Being woken in fear in the night is not something I would wish on anyone. If anything, the following slamming of the door came as a relief, revealing that the original noise was just Dr. Kevin being a dumbass. I mean, failing with physical objects, and not the last Trump summoning me to Jesus' side for an awkward conversation about agnosticism. Oh, these big words. Speaking of an awkward conversations, you know if you're having a difficult one, say with your boss, or someone who makes you nervous. There's a technique where you imagine the other person is sitting on the toilet. Dr. Kevin must have heard about this but misunderstood, because if there was any issue he wanted to raise with me, he would wait and then shout it through the bathroom door at me whilst I was having a well-deserved poo. I am sorry to mention me pooing again. It's not something I normally like to discuss. He'd be annoyed if I didn't want to talk to him. And I'd have to explain that I was pooing, and that, as you'll know that you're reading this carefully, it's not something I normally like to discuss, especially during quite ruins it for me. And that's why I decided to become an eye surgeon, because at the bar, they say it's obviously so low that any idiot can stumble over it whilst dropping things. Not really though. I wouldn't be up to it academically. My spelling is awful. I had to look up diarrhea. I'd be killing people left or right, confusing hyperglycemia with hypoglycemia, as well as freaking out because you'd have to cut people's eyes. How could you even get past that? I'm cutting an eye. Oh my days. But he wasn't just a job needing a great skill and composure while speaking in a second language. So he must have been very bright in ways that I couldn't see. I wish him well in his medical career and future malpractice lawsuits. Holy shit, that was hard to read. I was both laughing so hard and just disgusted at Kevin. John Saru, if I were to give you... you just got Silver Award? You need more awards, John Saru. Even if it was just earlier today. At 8:10 this morning. Ooh, that's so good. So, that is a story. That is r/story. That concludes my review on r/stories about Kevin. Kevin is a real fur brain. In John's case, I think Kevin acts more like, in Lion Guard standards, I think Kevin acts more like Thurston than anyone else because Kevin is fucking stupid. Not saying that if you're named Kevin, you're not. Of course you're not stupid. I've seen some smart Kevins out there, but this is just a stories about a person, just a random name, Kevin. That's it. So yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, click or tap that like button and subscribe for more, and follow me on my Instagram and Twitter, which are down in the description below. Oh, and don't forget that to turn on those post notifications. I just blanked out there for a second. Yeah. Alright. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to stay positive to the Pride Lands End. Bye!